Hey guys, my name is Jobel. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to show you guys how I transformed my SAT score from a 1230 to a beautiful 1460, and I'm going to tell you guys how to maximize your score, my best tips and tricks, and some things that feel like cheating but actually are not. With that said, let's just get into the video. So the first thing I'll be talking about is maximizing your score, and something to keep in mind about is super scoring. And what super scoring is when you combine the highest score of your reading and writing section and your math section and you add it together and get a completely new SAT score that really truly exemplifies your skills in both sections. So I kind of lied to you guys. I didn't get a 1460 on my SATs. My highest SAT score is a 1420, but when you combine my highest scores, you get a 1460. And just make sure you have a college list. You find out if your school allows super scoring, because most of the schools, like 80% of the schools, allow super scoring. So just keep in mind and research it before you use this method, and just take your SATs a bunch of times like I did. Of 200 plus jump in your score isn't gonna happen overnight. I personally took it 4 times. My first time I just wanted to test things out, second time improving it, third time I learned about super scoring, so I focused mostly on my math and I got a 790 on my math section, and my fourth time I really focused on my reading section and I got the reading score that I needed to get a 1460.
Bottom line is, keep super scoring in mind and take the SATs as many times as possible.
If this is your first time taking the SATs, I have constructed a timeline for you. If you're a sophomore who's trying to navigate this whole SAT thing, you should take your SATs this summer after your sophomore year. I know SATs has a date in May and in June, so just try to take it then, and after 2 weeks you get your score back and you just analyze what you got wrong, and then if you're gonna retake it, then you have the whole summer to work, because the next SAT date is in August, so you'll have plenty of time to retake it. So the next thing I'm going to be talking about is what resources I used to study for the SATs. In freshman year, I had my own tutor, and I would not recommend getting a tutor just because they're so expensive, and I didn't feel like he helped me so much, and SAT is just something that you should study on your own and have your own timeline and go at your own pace. When I studied for the SATs on my own, I only used 3 books. The first book I used is one on reading, which is the SAT Black Book, and I would say the only thing that I learned from this book is, 1, to never use any testing materials that wasn't written by the College Board. So don't waste your money on some Princeton review book or any other brand, so just focus on anything that College Board gives you. And the best tip that the Black Book gave me is to infer nothing. Just read. Don't analyze the text.
Okay, here's an example. Pause and read this question. D is the correct answer, and here's why everything else is wrong. This answer could be suitable if you were in an English classroom, but this is the SAT, so if it's not mentioned in the paragraph, it means it's not true. What if he's just hardworking? What if he just wanted the money? This answer looks like it's correct, but the word congenital makes it all wrong, because it's not mentioned in the text whether she was born with the condition or she just developed it over time. This one isn't even relevant.
The next SAT reading book that I purchased is one I would highly recommend, which is SAT Reading by Erica Meltzer. Even though this book is not as thick as the other one, it has so many more tips, and she even wrote exercises that are really similar to the real thing that you can practice. They also have vocabulary sets for easily mistaken words, like words with double meanings that are really useful, and this is a really good investment. So if you didn't know, the SAT math section mostly includes problems from Algebra 2, and most people find this the easiest section in the SATs, but all the time, the test writers love sprinkling in all those problems that we never learned in those curriculum, and my solution to that is the Panda Math book by Nielsen Fu. I swear by this. They not only teach you the basics, they also teach you everything you have to know about this. They give you like more advanced problems, so there is nothing the SATs could throw at you that you can anticipate. And some reviewers on Amazon would say this is redundant, but I did get a 790 from this book, so I would really recommend it if you want to like maximize your score. I'm pretty sure most of you've already known this, but Khan Academy is a great place to practice for your SATs because they have partnered up with the College Board to make really good practices for math and reading. And even though Khan Academy is a great free resource, I would really recommend spending some money on SAT prep books. And the last resource I have to share with you guys is one that is not known by most people, but if you're a Reddit user, you probably know that there is a huge SAT thread that posts like old SAT test materials and keys and explanations for it. And I personally use this a lot to get practice materials, and I would recommend taking tests that are like made after 2016 because it'll be the best reflection of what will be on your SAT test. We have finally reached the last section of this video, which are my tips, tricks, and advice for taking the SATs. And I would like to start off with some general tips. 1, I cannot emphasize this enough, but take the SATs as many times as possible. You will learn a lot from practicing, and it's just trial and error, you know? My second tip is to take as many AP courses as you can. So if you haven't been paying attention, the SAT test is written by the College Board, who also writes the curriculum for AP classes. I'm currently taking AP Stats. I think it has been like extremely useful because there is a tiny part of statistics in your SATs that they don't teach in Algebra 2. For the social science and natural science section, I think you would benefit a lot from like just learning basics about AP Psychology and some AP Environmental Science or APES. Another thing I found useful is having a timer rather than a watch. So my first time taking the SATs, I saw this guy just using this little like cooking timer, and I thought it was like so cute, and then I started using it, and it is so useful because you can use it to time yourself at home, and then you could bring it into your testing room and they won't confiscate it. And it's just nice to have something that you're like really accustomed to. There's a silent option, and you can click how many minutes you want it to do, and this way you don't have to like subtract time on your clock, which saves a lot of time. Now for some really specific math tips. Number 1 is use your calculator to your advantage. Your calculator skills are really crucial for this test. I would recommend watching a video, learning more like in-depth hacks about your calculator, and I would also recommend you taking AP Stats because that is basically how to use your calculator class, so it is very beneficial towards the SAT. The third hack I have found is if you don't know how to do a question without your calculator, note it down into your answer sheet. There is nothing in the rulebook that says this is inappropriate, so when you get into the calculator section, just pull up your computer, type it in, and then you got yourself a bonus score. My last math tip is probably one you've already heard of. Do the multiple choice questions first because you have a 25% chance of getting it right rather than doing the fill in the blanks questions where there are infinite possibilities of what the true answer is, but I would recommend filling in 0, 1, or 2. The first reading tip is that the general idea of the passage or the paragraph is usually at the beginning or the end. It just works that way, especially for like the research ones because they're trying to sum up what they're trying to say. If you didn't know, I am shit when it comes to timing in the SATs, especially with the reading section. And what I would do to save time is answering all the like define or like what does this word mean in this context type of questions first. And even if I was skipping that passage, I would still do it because those questions are so easy to answer. You just have to read like one paragraph out of the whole passage to guess it. And my general tip for these is that the answer is typically a conventional word, just not a word that is really complicated. It's usually the easier and more known word.
Okay, here's an example. What do you think the answer is? It's A. If you plug it into the passage and it makes sense, then that's the answer. It's that simple. You don't have to look for like complicated words. That's it.
My next reading tip is pay attention to what words the author uses. Like, what attitude does it convey? Like, if you're confused about what opinions the author have about a certain subject, pay attention to words. Does it have like a positive or a negative tone? It won't be clear as to like, oh, I extremely dislike this, but like, if he uses something that says like, it's not pretty, this situation isn't preferable, is what you're trying to look for. This means the author doesn't like it. Another big part of wording is connecting words. For example, if the author is saying conversely, he is opposing an idea that he presented a sentence before this. But if he is using additionally, he's trying to support something he has said before, or trying to add to something that he has previously written. Another thing that I found extremely difficult about the SAT is humor. What do these test writers think is funny? The SAT definition of humor is something that is either not the real definition of the word, or it is something that is very unexpected. So lastly are some writing tips. English is not my first language, so I'm really sorry, but I am pretty good when it comes to grammar because I had to learn it from scratch. So what I would say is just to spend like a day or two learning about the tenses of English and learn how to use punctuations properly, and that will help you a lot with the writing section because it is really easy English in the writing section and all you have to know is grammar and punctuation. Another thing I'd like to mention is just dumb luck. If you have a chill proctor, make use of that. Take advantage of that as much as you can. I have had friends who had proctors just on their phones the entire time. They did not walk around the room at all, so you know what you gotta do. Improve your scores as much as you can. The SATs does cost $60, so spend your money wisely, I guess. And that concludes my SAT video. Thank you for watching till this point. You have finished yet another video about this dreaded topic. Best of luck on your test, and if you have any questions or video suggestions, feel free to comment down below or just text me on Instagram and I'd be glad to help out. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. I don't know how to tell you this, but I just got out of a 3-year relationship. And if you've ever read one of my bios, you know this relationship means a lot to me, and even though me and SAT's relationship was a strong, lasting one, I just need it out. And I really want to help all of my fellow friends on YouTube to also get out of this dreaded toxic relationship because I am done. I am so happy. I already got accepted into college with my awesome SAT score. And in today's video, I just want to help you guys as much as I can, so let's just get into the video.